Hello everyone, my name is David Webb. Thank you again for joining me here today for the funeral for one of my favorite chapters, Chapter 4. It's been said by many famous authors to kill your darlings. What does that mean? It doesn't necessarily mean to get rid of anything that you're particularly proud of, like many writers seem to believe. Rather, it means to get rid of any unnecessary storylines, characters, sentences, even chapters that distract the reader and take away from the flow of the story as a whole. Writers tend to have a very paternal or maternal feeling toward their babies, their books. This can be a good thing, but all too often it's a bad thing. We get attached to certain aspects of our story that do the reader no good, that distract the reader, that detract from the quality of the story. And unfortunately, I believe that I fell bane to this in Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is one of my favorite chapters. It's one of my readers' favorite chapters according to feedback. But it was also the chapter that probably should have been deleted. Why? Well, by the time this chapter is over, I will have spent way too long without Anaya as the main point of view character. She is the main character of the series. And yeah, when you have a 9-book series, there are going to be a lot of characters. And it's important that they are all established at one point or another. I have my reasons, valid reasons for introducing them the way that I did, but at the end of the day, the first book, the series as a whole, is about Anaya. And as such, I think I spent a little too long on characters other than Anaya. This chapter, from the point of view of William, only serves to deepen the mystery of the Lightbringers. A mystery that has already been established and is already somewhat deep. At this point, all this chapter is doing is pushing the inciting incident back by another 1,500 words. And as you remember from my video on first chapters, you need to start as close to the inciting incident as possible. There's only one thing that held me back from getting rid of this chapter, and it's that I loved the chapter too darn much. It's an abstract look into the mind of a comatose man, driven insane by the torture that he's suffered at the hands of the Lightbringers. I had a lot of fun with this chapter, but at the end of the day, it didn't need to be included. Killing your darlings is one of the hardest yet most important things to do as a writer. I had to kill many darlings throughout the 3 books that are published at the time of this video, but this chapter is just one of those cases that managed to slip through the cracks. Why? No one told me. And when you're in the thick of it, writing and editing, it's really hard to distance yourself, to take a step back from your work and see what's good for this story and what's not. You think I didn't know about killing your darlings? I knew full darn well what it meant to kill your darlings, but I was just too close. If I had another month to look at the manuscript, maybe I would have taken it out. Maybe not. And when I say that nobody told me, I don't blame my editor, I don't blame my beta readers. They gave me a lot of helpful feedback. And it makes me feel just a little bit better that no one bothered to tell me that this chapter was detracting from the story, because it gives me hope that it didn't detract too much. But to me, looking back on it objectively at the book as a whole, it makes sense to take the chapter out. I was recently consulting a writer and had to tell her to kill her darlings, to take out her prologue. Most prologues don't work for a number of reasons, and this one was charming, well written, and kind of precious, but it still didn't work. I'm particularly proud of this writer because it took a couple of months, but she eventually nixed the prologue and made her story stronger. This is one of the reasons why it's so important to have developmental editors, to have beta readers, to read your story and tell you what doesn't work and why. It doesn't always work, and you will have to make some tough decisions on your own. But if I had had a few more critical beta readers who were willing to take a more harsh look at the story, maybe they would have told me otherwise. Again, I'm not blaming anyone but myself. I've been writing for 12 years, I should have seen it. But the more extra eyes you have looking at a book, the better chance you have of catching these little things that really detract from the story. So learn from my mistakes and kill your darlings. And that's gonna wrap up today's look at Chapter 4. Thank you again for joining me for this funeral. Don't worry, things are gonna pick back up again in Chapter 5. It'll all be hunky-dory. Please, God, please. My name is David Webb. Can't wait to see you all again and get some writing done.